Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, I'm glad you're here. I want to take a quick second before I get started and say thank you to all the channel members. Thank you, thank you. I want to take a second and say thank you for anyone who comes in to watch my knife at EDC content. If you're so inclined, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon. It really helps me out. But most importantly, thank you just for being here. So today I was going to do kind of a follow-up or companion to the video I did yesterday, where I was going to talk about my top USA made Magnacut knives. And I was going to do it the same way I did it yesterday, was looking at these little USA made Magnacut knives, talking about them, showing them to you, and you'll know, since they're from my collection, that they're kind of my favorites and the ones that I like the most. Starting with this TRM little titanium Nerd. It is the smallest of the locking TRM knives, and this little guy is has a really nice, tall, flat ground little blade. This one has titanium handles, and it's got, instead of the 20 CV blade, it has got a Magnacut blade. It's a smaller knife. It could definitely be a primary carry, but it's more set up to be a fifth pocket carry knife or a little smaller knife, right? Very slicey, very agile, nice liner lock on it. Very minimalistic knife, but very thin, very small, very able as a cutter, and I really enjoy it. And it's the smallest little USA made folding Magnacut knife that I've got, but it is a TRM Nerd. Moving on, we come to one of the first Magnacut knives I acquired when I started collecting, and this is the Tactile turn Rockwall. And the Rockwall is a small gentleman's folder, liner lock on bearings, with a Magnacut flat ground little drop point blade. This knife is a little bit thicker ground than the TRM, with a shorter grind, or not as tall of a grind, but it's still a fantastic little knife. Titanium handles, made in the USA. Really good pocket clip on this. Really nice, just nice, what I consider to be kind of an elegant titanium USA made gentleman's folder. And what we didn't do, and we'll get the TRM back out, the Maverick's going to come in right at 7 inches, or the Rockwall, excuse me, with a 3-inch blade. So the Rockwall is going to be a 7-inch knife. I did not measure our Nerd, but the Nerd is going to be smaller at 5.5, whoops, 5.5 with a 2 1/4 inch blade. So 5.5 inch overall length on the Nerd and a 7-inch overall length on our Rockwall. Rockwall has thumb studs. I can't get a good reverse flick off this knife unless I get it just right, pushing straight up. But these thumb studs work so well with the traditional thumb flick that the deployment's great, the action's great. Just a really nice little gentleman's folder in Magnacut. Moving on, we come to another small little aggressive knife by Protech and Strider collaboration called the Protech PT207. The PT207 is like the Strider PT or 207, that's smaller than the SNG, which is just the same as the Strider Protech SNG. The Strider Protech PT207 is a button lock. It's got a very strong spring. It's got that familiar Strider look, all the way from your choil that goes into your handle here, your front finger choil, aluminum handles. These are textured, and you've got that nice USA Magnacut blade. This knife is going to be very slicey, but it's also going to be thick. It's going to be nice and strong. Thinner blade, but it's going to be a little bit thicker, even up towards the tip. Makes for a great poker, makes for a great slicer. You can one-hand operate it even though it's got a spring because it is closed and locked up under tension because it's an automatic knife. But it's very easy to manipulate with one hand. Fantastic little specimen. I really enjoy this knife. It is probably going to come in close to that 7 inches. Let's see. And this one's also 7 inches. So this one's going to come in right around the same length as our Rockwall and be our third smallest Magnacut USA made knife. And that is the Protech Strider PT 207. So moving on, we come to the Hinderer Half-Track. The Hinderer Half-Track is one of my Hinderers out of my collection, and it is the only Hinderer out of my collection that is made with Magnacut blade steel. This one is a simple stone-washed finish. It does have a Lynch pocket clip that was gifted to me from Brother Said Stevie, and it does have the titanium show side clip. The Half-Track has this little finger groove that does allow you to front or middle finger flip it, but it's also got the tri-way pivot system, has a really nice flipper tab on the back. Unlike Hinderers, it doesn't have that long loopy one. This is a great light switch or pull button, or push button opening method flipper switch. Works very well. The Half-Track is the small version of the full track, but it does give me a very usable finger choil up here. The grip is fantastic. I love the way that the blade is designed in your hand. It just makes for a natural cutter. It is USA Magnacut. This is probably going to be the thickest ground of the folders that I've got in Magnacut, but just a very nice specimen. Thick blade, nice compact package, good heavy knife, heavy in terms of heavy use. Really nice point there. I think it's a gorgeous little knife. This is the Hinderer Half-Track in titanium with a Magnacut blade from Rick Hinderer. So moving on, we come to our second TRM in the collection, and this is the TRM Three Rivers Manufacturing Bulldog. Bulldog is kind of similar take in terms of design using the river lock, which is this bar lock, to the Shadow, the TRM Shadow, another bar lock knife. However, this one's going to be right around the size of the TRM Nerd. So this is a small, agile, the thickest blade that TRM's made in a folder. So it's got a little thicker blade stock, but it is amazingly laser beamy slicey. And that's just because TRM does a fantastic job with their edges. They do a fantastic job with their blade geometry, and they do a great job with their heat treats. So this is a fantastic little knife. I'm usually not a river lock, bar lock fan. However, I do think the river lock is kind of a step above other river locks or other bar locks. It is just so smooth. You can tell you've got this beefed up little cage in here. The fit and finish inside, full liner, not just a little partial liner. This has flat contour or flat textured G10 scales. Great little knife, USA made by TRM Three Rivers Manufacturing. This is the TRM Bulldog, which is going to come in at a 7 1/16 inch. A little bit over 7 inches, but just barely. Great little knife, great little build. That's the TRM Bulldog. Moving on, we come to our second tactile turn knife in the collection. This is a unique knife that has proven to me to be a fantastic knife. I'm a huge fan of the shark lock, which this one utilizes. Not the shark lock, the Snex lock, I apologize. This is a thumb stud knife that has a sheep's foot blade. You can reverse finger flick it, thumb flick it. Great design, great shape, great ergos. Great locking mechanism with this little Snex lock that you can operate kind of like a Demco lock. However, the springs back here in the back of the knife as opposed to up here. Super agile, super comfortable to carry. Wonderful blade shape. I love this sheep's foot design. It just works so well. It is such a great cutter. It is what I would consider getting close to that full-size knife, whereas I've got a perfect grip here. It has a really nice pocket clip that gives you deep carry and solid retention. You've got what feels like a very solid knife because you've got the Snex lock here. You've got full liners inside of, or a little bit of weight relief liners inside of your aluminum scales. You got a really nice sharpening choil. Your plunge grind's a little exaggerated here, but you still got plenty of room to sharpen that knife. And this knife comes in, guys, at about $249 for USA made, Magnacut. Unique locking mechanism, unique blade style, doesn't look like anything else. I think this is a winner of a knife, and it is the Tactile Turn Chupacabra. What did I call this earlier? Have I been calling this the Tactile Turn Chupacabra? I knew I called it the Tactile Turn, but this is the Chupacabra. The Chupacabra from Tactile Turn in Magnacut with the Snex lock, aluminum handles, great knife. Moving on, we come to a small batch knife. That's one of my faves. It's made right here in the state of Alabama. This is the McNees Mac 2 3.5 inch knife, or 3.5 inch blade. This one has, if I'm not mistaken, the shock finish, maybe the atomic finish. I forget what this titanium pattern is called, but they're stone washed flat titanium scales with a beautiful stone washed hollow ground blade that's made out of Magnacut. Nice American Magnacut. Very, very nice grind on this blade. This hollow grind is deliciously slicey for what's starting to feel like a full-size knife. For me, for some of you guys, this would be a medium-sized knife. For my hand, which is about 3.5 inches across, it's still medium, but it feels like a full-size knife in my hand, I guess is the best way to put that. I love the McNees Mac 2. Operates on bearings. They're handmade down in South or more South Alabama than I am, and it comes in right at a little over 7.5, right about 7 3/4 inches overall. Beautiful design, beautiful shape, great ergonomics, fantastic, not really bougie clip, but it works very well. Drop shut action, thumb studs, just one of my favorite knives, the McNees Mac 2 3.5 inch in Magnacut. Moving on, and we're getting there, guys. We come to another one of my personal grails that I picked up at the Nashville Custom Knife Show a couple of years ago. This is a Protech Mordax. Protech Mordax was at the time Protech's second manual flipper knife that uses the button lock. They've come out with another model since then. Again, this was a couple of years ago, but I'm a huge fan in the Protech Malibu. The Mordax takes that to another level in terms of you're getting a larger knife, more of a full-size knife. You've got that same silky button lock action that the Mordax is famous for. You've got a nice milled contoured handle. This is a Fair and Forge collaboration between Fair and Forge and Protech, and this knife is a great cutter. It is thin, slicey, and just ready for business. It is what I would consider every bit a full-size knife. I can get a full 4 in the handle. I can get a full 4 in the choil and have plenty of room. Again, aluminum handles. This one has a Lynch clip that I added to it, a Lynch Protech clip, and this guy is going to come in at 8 1/4 inches with, I didn't get the blade on the others, but a 3.5 inch blade too. 8 1/4 inches. Gorgeous knife. Very, very simple operation. And again, one of the best button locks in the game. The Protech Ferrum Forge Mordax in Magnacut. Moving on, we come to my largest knife, largest USA made knife in my collection, and also a Magnacut specimen. This is my Spartan Harsey SHR, Spartan Harsey folder. Very much a tactical knife. This one is the Plague Doctor pattern with the USA made Magnacut blade. You've got a thicker grind. Again, this knife is definitely more of a tactical knife. Great for piercing, great for pushing through things. Also a very good cutter, but not going to be of that slicey blade geometry as some of the others that we've looked at. But it definitely will cut, and it will cut well, and it will pierce like nobody's business. The Spartan Harsey is a classic knife. Took me a long time to kind of get into the Spartan game. I've got a couple of them now. I've got this full-size Harsey, this SHR, Spartan Harsey folder, and then I've gotten a 3 1/4 inch little Spartan Harsey. It's in S45. This one's in Magnacut. So I wanted to show this one out since we're talking about Magnacut today. And this guy is a whopping 9 inches with a 4-inch blade. So this every bit is a full-size knife on washers, but very, very good action. I can thumb flick it with ease. I can reverse flick it with ease. I love the engraving on it. I love the engraving on the back. It just reminds me of when I kind of got into the community. And I love that aggressive, tactical Magnacut blade. So the last knife that we're going to talk about today is not really a folding knife, but it's not really a fixed blade knife. So I put it in this category. And this is my Axial Knives Shift Tonto, OTF. So this is a USA made, out the front, made by Axial Knives. It is a full aluminum handle, very unique profile to this handle that makes it very ergonomic. Has a very nice Tonto stone-washed Magnacut blade. This knife is also available in a drop point, a dagger grind, or even a Wharncliffe ground blade. As you know, out the fronts are shorter, taller, or shorter flat grinds, but this knife is very slicey, even though it's not set up to be really a slicer. I think it's more set up to be a poker, which it does very well. You've got that aggressive Tanto point that really lends itself to penetrating, but then as an EDC knife, if I'm cutting cardboard, if I'm cutting into packages, if I'm having to cut things out, this knife works very well. It is a good size, and it's got what I consider to be a very easy one-handed deployment method with that out the front push button. So this guy is going to come in right under 8 inches. We're going to call it a little bit over 7 3/4, and it has 3 1/4 inch blade. So this is the Axial Knives Shift in Magnacut, and it is one of my many knives in my collection in American Magnacut. American-made knives out of Magnacut, I guess I should say. You got the Harsey, the Mordax, the McNees, Tactile turn Chupacabra, TRM Bulldog, Hinderer Half-Track, Protech PT207, Tactile turn Rockwall, and last but not least, the TRM Nerd, guys. So that are my top, say 10 USA made Magnacut blade knives. They're the ones that are in my collection, so they're definitely my favorites. I wanted to share them with you guys. If you have any questions, let me know. Do me a favor, hit the like button if you're so inclined. If you're still here and you like the content, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon. It does help me out. But most importantly, please look out for the guy or gal to your left. Please look out for the guy or gal to your right. Please look out for each other. Go forward with love in your hearts and choose debate, not hate. I love you all. Peace.